Texas Values Report. This is Jonathan Saenz, president of Texas Values. Great to be with you on another glorious week in the state of Texas. Hey, I got a lot to talk about today because next week's going to get real busy. All right. We're going to get into the month of May. That means there's just 2 or 3 weeks really left in the legislative session for the work to get done, for bills to be set up to pass, to head to the governor's desk. We're going to start hitting some deadlines pretty soon in the legislative process. So I want to talk about some of those big issues related to that. But some of the breaking news is that on Monday, May 1st, there's going to be a hearing in the Texas House Committee, the Higher Education Committee, on the Save Women's Sports legislation. Now, remember, this is the legislation that's already passed the Senate. This is Senate Bill 15 that just makes it clear that men cannot compete in women's sports at the collegiate level. Why? Because we see more men continuing to do that. The problem is growing almost daily. And thankfully, more and more women and female athletes are coming forward and saying, we're not okay with this. So that hearing is on Monday, May 1st. The hearing is going to start at 10 a.m. in the Texas House, the Higher Education Committee. And so we're very excited about that. Hey, if you're new to the show, we talk about the issues of faith, family, and freedom in the arenas of the courts, the legislature, and the media. But listen, that hearing is going to be a big deal. We've got a great guest today, and I think she's just about ready because she's in the middle of some important work. So we're going to try to bring her right on. Valoree Swanson is a state representative from the greater Houston area. She has been serving in the legislature for quite some time. She has made a very strong name for herself as far as standing up for Christian principles, for conservative principles across the state of Texas. And you may remember she was the author of the bill last session that protected girls from boys competing in their sports from K through 12. Representative Swanson, welcome to the Texas Values Report.
Oh, hold on. Thank you, Jonathan. And hello to all your listeners. We just really appreciate you and all your support you gave us 2 years ago to save the girls' sports 7th through 12th. And now we're back to saving the girl athletes in college.
No, we are. And while you're joining us, I'm going to do this. I'm going to share this on my Facebook feed since we're live, so people know that they can continue to get updated with this. They can follow along with the conversation, and we can get this into some chats, some comments. We can really try to drive up the traffic on this issue. And so, and listen, I'm just going to tell everybody there's a little bit of a crackle noise or whatever when Representative Swanson was coming on, because she's in the middle of a House floor session. They get to go on and off the floor. And so sometimes, they're in a rush. And so this is how it works. All right. This is really what the process looks like sometimes.
We're just sitting here in the back hall. So when you hear everything, this is, we're right outside the chamber.
That's right. And that's that insider knowledge, right? Those of us that have been there know what the back hall means, right? I might get into that in just a minute, but let's talk about the legislation. You got an important hearing on Monday. We're so thankful for your leadership on this issue, but we've got some unfinished business. This bill, Senate Bill 15, has passed the Senate. It's now over in the House. We know you had a House version. House Bill 23 had 81 co-authors, right? All Republicans, but almost every Republican has signed on. And the few that didn't, I think it was really for a logistical issue. So just about all the Republicans support this bill. That's over the 76 that you need to have that majority of support. And so while you had a House version, the bill that's moving is the Senate version. And that means if it moves through the House, we don't have to go to the other chamber. We're closer to the finish line. So this is a great opportunity. Tell us a little bit about the hearing on Monday. We'll talk a little logistics, and then we'll get into the substance of this issue.
Well, thank you, Jonathan. We are very excited. It is times are so different than 2 years ago when so many people thought, oh, this surely can't be a problem. But thanks to formerly Will Thomas, now Leah Thomas, and other male athletes that have gotten so much media attention, basically cheating women out of opportunities in athletics, everything has changed now. So many people are wanting to fix this. They know it's a problem, and we're very excited. It's gone to the Higher Education Committee in the House, which is chaired by John Kipple, who is a co-author on the bill. Yep. It's a majority Republican committee, and every single Republican on the committee is a co-author of the bill.
Yeah, well, and listen, that's great. We're talking with State Representative Valoree Swanson. She is a state representative that is supporting, carrying, and leading the effort in the Texas House on the Save Women's Sports issue, the bill this session to protect female athletes from having men competing against them in collegiate competitive athletics. And you're right, the problem has been growing. We've got our website set up, SaveWomenSportsTexas.com, where we've got a number of athletes that talk about this issue, how they've had to deal with it, the problems that it's created. And you can hear some of their own testimonies and find out, all the years that they've been competing and preparing, only to have a man come into their sport and really make things difficult, if not cause them to lose some opportunities. So, and we're going to hear that on Monday. We're going to have athletes that are going to come testify and make it clear that the problem is growing. But also what we're seeing growing, Representative Swanson, is people's confidence and courage to come talk to the legislature, because we know the problem was there before, but just so much of it is they weren't sure that anybody was really on their side. They would get attacked on social media. Now with people like Riley Gaines and others that are coming forward, they realize, you know what, we've got some support, and now they feel a little bit more sure. And they know coming into our legislative process, like you mentioned, the majority of the committee is already supportive, but it's important to have this public hearing and make sure that we get that strong message out there.
It absolutely is. And we are working with your organization and others to have top people come in. I believe Riley Gaines is going to be coming. And isn't that, I know you have been in contact with her, the swimmer who got beat by Will, quote, Leah Thomas. We have some other top people coming in. Barbara Ehart from Idaho, the first state rep who passed this in the nation, and she's gone around and helped get it passed in many other states. She's flying in. We're excited about that. What we're asking is for people to pray for this bill to pass and send in written testimony, send in emails, but we don't need just hundreds and hundreds of people to come testify. We're really trying to keep it to some of the people who have the most dynamic testimony for this particular bill. And because we know we have the votes, just please send in written testimony through the portal. I'm sure you can explain that to them. Be in prayer and email the members of the committee and email your own representatives. And if they have already signed on to the bill, thank them for doing that. Thank Chairman John Kemple for giving it a hearing. And the speaker is very supportive. They've told me the whole time we will get this done. And Chairman Dustin Burrows has been very supportive all sessions. So we really feel good about it.
No, that's encouraging. And look, it's important for people to be a part of the official record. So what people can do too, because I know a lot of people are going to want to come to the Capitol. I know we're going to be there, and we're hoping we're going to have a lot of good support. You can sign your name in on the official record, right? So if you're at the Capitol, right, you can, and so this isn't testimony. This is just signing your name in saying you support the bill, because a lot of times the media will talk about it, other members, and I know we got a majority of support, but it's good for people to have that. They'll have the record. So you can just sign your name in and show, hey, I was here at the Capitol, or I was here in town and I signed my name in. And so we'll have that official record, because look, and one thing that's encouraging about it, Representative Swanson, is we know the support on this issue continues to grow. That shows from what you're hearing from members, leadership, the chairs of this committee, the chair of calendars, Dustin Burrows. We were in his office yesterday. And it's that they were being responsive. Right? Elected officials, particularly Republicans. And I do think there's some Democrats that are with us on this issue as well. We saw the House, the U.S. House pass.
Out here. It'll be quieter out here. Let us go out and
and I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to let you talk more, because I know we just have you for a little bit of time and you might have to go back on the floor. But a great opportunity we have on Monday to have our message heard, to have excellent testimony on this issue. And I think a lot of legislators are familiar with this, but when they hear those personal stories and they hear some of the quality of testimony that you're talking about, it really helps them completely understand it. And then also it lays the foundation for those discussions on the House floor and for the public in the media, for people to see that. So I'm very encouraged by the amount of really support that's grown. Your leadership has been a big part of that. Tell me what you're hearing sort of anecdotally. You don't have to name names, but like, what are the comments or kind of things you're hearing from members? I mean, I know they're probably aware this issue is moving. What kind of sort of comments of support are you hearing this time around?
Well, thank you. I've had a lot of people all session going, well, what's going on with your bill? When are you going to get a hearing? So finally, they know that we are having a hearing now, but it's helped me be patient, being told by leadership, we will get this done. It's definitely been a priority. And I'm glad you brought up that we do want crowds there. If you can make it to the Capitol and be in there, we will work. I think we will have people handing out probably something in hot pink like we did last time, some little something you can wear.
We're going to be handing out some of these swim caps, okay, with the Save Women's Sports logo. You always got to have a nice prop, right? I like your idea about the hot pink. We've got some stuff from our Faith and Family Day. I think we still got some water bottles and stuff that say Save Women's Sports. I mean, but you're right. All those things help, drive home the message.
So what we need, though, that we haven't come up with, but we'll have it by Monday, is something that shows. Like, we're not asking people to wear a swim cap in the hearing.
This is just a show. You don't have to put it on.
Right.
You don't want to see me in it.
You wouldn't have a problem with your hair like a lot of us would.
That's right.
You could afford to do it, but we'll have something, and we encourage people to wear hot pink like 2 years ago, or add a scarf, add something, and hopefully maybe we'll have some stickers or pins or ribbons, because if they're in the crowd, we want them to be identified that they're on the right side of this. And being in the crowd, having registered for it, and wearing something that clearly shows which side they're on is tremendously important, because I tell you, the other side will show up, because this is their issue. It's like our side has lots and lots of issues, whereas they've got one. So they come from all over the state. Obviously, it's very easy to come from Austin. So we need our people there in the crowd showing support by visibly indicating that they're on the right side of the
street. Now we'll have stickers for people to wear as well. The conference rooms in our office right across the street from the Capitol, 1005 Congress. We've got those reserved. We're going to have food, snacks. It could be a long day. We want to make it as comfortable as possible. We're looking at getting a room reserved over close to the hearing room. That way people are there. I'm sure if you need to go to Representative Swanson's office, maybe just to catch your breath or something or whatever, they're going to be hospitable. So make the day of it. Monday, May 1st, come down to the Capitol. Save Women's Sports Day really is what it's going to be all about. I want to mention something too, Representative Swanson, speaking of the support. You've got the lieutenant governor that's talked about this. You talked about the speaker. Lieutenant governor's make it a priority. The Governor Abbott has talked about this issue as well, has been very vocal. When Riley Gaines came in and testified at the Senate hearing during the Texas Values Faith and Family Day, he invited Riley to come over to the governor's mansion. And so you continue to see the leaders, right, talk about this issue, public support, and you're seeing a ton of groups, right? More and more groups that are saying we support this coming forward. And so that's got to be encouraging for you too, as a member.
Very, very encouraging. At the beginning of 2021, when I first started just getting co-authors and talking to people, there were people who knew about it, but there were plenty of other people who said, what does your bill do? Like, this is an issue. We don't get that anymore. Everyone knows it's an issue. So we've made tremendous progress in getting the word out.
Yeah, well, and there's going to be some wonderful athletes. One that we've been working with is a young lady from the north part of the state. She was a part of the basketball team. This issue has been a concern for her, of men competing in women's sports. We know there's an article out about a volleyball player who had a volleyball spiked in her face. There's a video about some of these things. We're seeing more and more women. We saw over the weekend, there was some type of running event. We saw an event in golf. I'm hearing reports that even some of these dance teams that are famous here in the state of Texas are having men that want to compete on. We're hearing sororities talk about men now wanting to be in the women's sorority. And so the time has come for us to get a handle on this. And that's what we do in the legislative process, right? We set standards, we make it clear in state law how this is going to go. And look, we did the K through 12 legislation last year, 2 years ago. I haven't seen anything as a result of that the other side have predicted. And what we've seen is now school districts have clarity on how to handle that. We've talked with some leaders amongst universities in the state of Texas. I think they would welcome the ability to have this, so they're not expected to sort some of it out. Now you've got a state law that's consistent across the board. And I think it allows Texas to be a leader. I mean, we've got 14 other states that have done this before, so it's not like we're going to be the first ones and it's an experiment. The time has come to do it. And I think it's great to see the U.S. House, right, making a move on this. And so I think we're going to have a great hearing on Monday.
I think so too. And you're absolutely right, Jonathan. And just the fact that we passed the 7th through 12th grade safe girls sports last time really helped keep the momentum going and advance it, make it easier to get it passed all over the country. So I'm hearing from national leaders on this issue that they are really depending on Texas
Yep.
to pass this bill to protect the college girls because it makes it so much easier to pass in other states.
No, you're absolutely right. And we look at the Final Four was here this year for men, and we see other championships that happen in the state of Texas that relate to college. And, listen, the feedback we've been getting and reading about the NCAA, they're not opposed to this type of law. They're like, you know what, we're going to let the state sort it out. So they've backed off from their positions from before when, people suggested, oh, they were going to threaten to take their events other places. They're not going to do that. They backed off that position because they realized, particularly in Texas, that this is where a lot of these big events happen. And so many other states have also stepped up. And I think maybe they're getting a little bit more sympathetic to their athletes, which they should, in hearing their voices instead of ignoring it. So none of those arguments really have shown to come true or hold any water or have any merit to them. Now the time is to get it done. And you're right. A lot of people are saying, what's Texas going to do? And I think that allows other states, once we make this decision, once we get this done, to say, you know what, it's our turn to do it as well. Because it gets a lot more attention. We're Texas. That's just the way it goes sometimes. Yeah. I know you're going to be doing some prep work leading up to the hearing on Monday. I know our team's going to be around, anything we can do to support you, but God bless you for the wonderful work you're doing on the Save Women's Sports issue.
Well, thank you, Jonathan, and God bless you and all your team. And we really appreciate you.
All right, great. Well, Representative Swanson, I'm sure needs to get back to the floor, and we're going to do a little bit of wrap-up comments, but we're so excited and grateful that Representative Valoree Swanson has been our guest today on the Texas Values Report.
Thank you.
Okay, so you heard the big news. Big hearing on Monday. We've got just a packed day that we're going to have. Okay. So Riley Gaines is coming to the hearing on Monday. Super excited about it. All right. You heard Representative Swanson mention that this is the athlete who was a swimmer at the University of Kentucky. She was forced to compete against Will Thomas. Started calling himself Leah Thomas when he decided to compete in the women's division. He was from right here in Texas. Okay. Leah Thomas, Will Thomas, he was a competitor in swimming at Westlake High School, very well-known high school in the Central Texas area. They produce a lot of high-level collegiate athletes or high school athletes, real big school in the Central Texas area. Drew Brees, quarterback for the New Orleans Saints that won the Super Bowl, that's where he went to high school. Nick Foles, quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles, that's where he went to high school. And they do really well in football. Because I know I have a high school football player, thankfully, who's in private division. We don't play against Westlake, but and I'm sure they do well in other athletics as well. But a very well known in high school. But also, I don't think a lot of people knew that swimmer, Leah Thomas, was from the state of Texas. Makes it even more important or a connection to our state. Riley Gaines, forced to compete against him. All right. They actually tied. That's how good Riley is. Okay. This guy is much bigger and much taller than her. He clearly had an advantage. She was invited to try out for the Olympic trials. She was one of the best in the world during her peak time, and she tied him. That's how good she is. But she shouldn't have been in that position to begin with, right? So they only had one trophy. They gave him the trophy, told her, we'll send yours in the mail. And I believe the photo op just included him. That's what she was told. This is the photo we want with Will Thomas or Leah Thomas, what he was calling himself. So, but it's not just her. There's a letter out where I think over 70 athletes have signed it. They're in support of these type of issues. We had a letter that was sent to the University of Texas from a number of athletes, many of them from the University of Texas, in not only swimming, but other sports as well, signing on in support, saying we need to get something done on these issues and expressing their concern publicly, but also to the University of Texas. And so the time has now come to get it done on Save Women's Sports. Listen, when you come to the Capitol on Monday, we're going to have this booklet, this legislative guide that you can use to know how to get around the Capitol, know how to contact your elected officials, phones, emails, office numbers, all that good stuff. We will be there in person too. If you want to come volunteer, this is going to be the Save Women's Sports Day of Action. It's not only going to have the hearing, you're going to be able to walk to members' offices. You're going to be able to encourage people like Valoree Swanson and others. To her point, you need to be there in the hearing room or close by, right? We need to show that support in person. While it's not necessary for everybody to testify, you can still sign in and register your support. You can register your support of the bill on the particular networks and technology, the little kiosk and so on that they have at the state capitol. We'll show you how to do all that process. Not a big deal. We do it every day, but we're going to be there to support you. If you want to just come volunteer though and help us out, we're going to need volunteers. All right. Because the Capitol is going to be flooded with a lot of people on this issue, particularly people supporting it. So the hearing starts at 10. Might want to try to get in the night before on Sunday, but you can drive in that morning from different parts of the state, right? Since it starts at 10, but try to get here a little bit early. As we mentioned, our office is across the street, 1005 Congress. If you want to come over there in the basement, we've got 2 conference rooms reserved. You can, cool off there. You can get a drink, you can get food, whatever. And it's just a short walk to the Capitol. We're going to look at getting a room reserved in the Capitol near the hearing room. And so, but check our website. Go to SaveWomenSportsTexas.com, by the way. We need that petition signed because some people aren't going to be able to make it to the Capitol. We want to show the legislators, this is the thousands of people that have signed this. These are all the people that have signed. They're from different parts of the state. They support this. All those things help create a strong argument on this issue. SaveWomenSportsTexas.com. By the way, if you think about it, we are a nonprofit organization, 501c3 nonprofit organization, Texas Values is. And please consider making a donation. This event, this day, all of this work on Monday really increases our expenses quite a bit. And that's okay. Listen, that's what we do. We're going to go do the work. But sometimes it gets a little bit more expensive and there's a little bit more work on one day that we're not always in a situation for that money that comes in the day before, right? People don't realize, nor did we. We didn't know until late yesterday there was going to be this big hearing, right? Please consider supporting us. Send in a donation of any type. Our annual budget is close to $2 million, right? The type of quality of people we have, myself, I've been licensed attorney for almost 20 years. Mary Elizabeth Castle, who is leading the Save Women Sports effort for our work and our organization, has a law degree, has been in this field for quite a long time. Jonathan Covey, very similar background, and numerous people that are part of supporting our work, that are part of our team and staff are at some of the highest levels, right? So we do have to invest in them in order to have them a part of it. Some of the work we have to do to reserve things, to pay for things, to get transportation, all of that increases our expenses. Please make that tax-deductible donation today at txvalues.org. You want to see Riley in person? Let's say you can't come on Monday, and you really should, because I don't know how long she's going to be here. Come to our event in Fort Worth, okay? Friday, a week from tomorrow, May 5th. We still have a couple of tickets, but we're almost sold out. This is an event Riley Gaines is speaking at, not just on the Save Women Sports issue. We're going to be raising support and educating people on the pro-life work we do, the religious liberty work. But the Save Women Sports issue certainly is going to take center stage. Riley Gaines will be there in person. She's going to be at the VIP reception. We're going to have a wonderful event. Still a few tickets left, but this allows us to continue to raise that support because it's been a busy session. This issue, the other side has really come at us from all different angles. They've made it more expensive. They've made it more difficult. We've got to match up to that. And we've had to bring some more people on to support our work. And some of that has been paying folks to come a part of our team for this short time during the legislative session. Come to that event, though, May 5th in Fort Worth, the Worthington Hotel. That is on Friday, May 5th. txvalues.org to get your tickets for that wonderful event. Riley Gaines will be there in person. I can't guarantee you'll meet her. Now, if you come to the VIP reception, you should be able to meet her and get a picture with her. But if you're not, I don't know how that's going to go. I'm just letting you know. But remember, if you do spend a little bit more, you see the price or whatever, remember, this is to support the work we're doing. This helps Riley go to events, right? Having these events like this allows her more opportunities to spread this message. She's on Fox like every other day or different news shows every other day. I've seen her on Fox News, other big podcasts and TV shows. She is a tremendous spokeswoman. She is a spokeswoman for Independent Women's Forum, IWF. And so, but she brings all of that background and she brings a real situation that happened to her, right? She knows what it's like to be that athlete that has to deal with this situation. She knows what it's like to be in the locker room when a male whose anatomy has not changed at all completely undresses in the women's locker room without any notice to these female athletes. This is not right. And that's not happening. If men are not competing in women's sports, they're not going into the women's locker room. And so that's one way to stop these issues to a certain extent. So txvalues.org for our website, make that tax deductible donation right now, or go to one of our events and you can do that. Come on Monday, please. this is going to be one of the most important days. You think about sometimes, what would I be able to do to sort of make the most of my time, right? For yourself, that one day, you could say, I know I made a difference, right? If you haven't been to the Capitol yet, or you already have, right? Let me think of one day where I could really make a difference. This is the day to do it. Monday, May 8th, the Save Women's Sports Day of Action, and also the hearing on the legislation, Senate Bill 15 for Save Women's Sports at 10 a.m. in the Texas Higher Education Committee in the Texas House. Listen, there's more going on than just this issue, but this certainly is one of the big ones. Legislation has been moving on the pro-life issue. Make sure you get our app. Also, we're hoping to get a vote on the floor soon on the bill to ban child gender modification. Huge priority for Texas Values. Download the Texas Values app, whether you're an Apple user, an Android user. It's on those formats. Go to the App Store. You'll be able to see the updates we're doing on legislation. You'll see the updates we're doing on social media and all the different things that are going on with. You'll see our church ambassador network, all the wonderful things that's going on with our organization. And so main website's txvalues.org. You want to learn more about the Save Women's Sports issue, SaveWomenSportsTexas.com. And listen, the more that you support us, the more that you share these videos, this information, these social media posts, the videos that we put out. That's how together we can protect faith, family, and freedom in the state of Texas. And we'll talk to you next week on the Texas Values Report.